Good afternoon. My name is David Levine. I'm the Global Vice President for Digital Strategy at New Era Technology. Welcome to our webinar this morning on AI and the implications from a business protection perspective. I'll be giving you a brief introduction to the New Era Technology organization, and then conversation on what AI is today. And then Roland Cloutier will giving us a presentation on the topic at hand about how you protect your business from a reputational perspective in the modern AI world. Okay, Roland, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, we've talked about this already. Can you go to the next one, please? And I've already introduced myself. Okay, New Era Technologies. I have about 80 locations worldwide, North America, the United Kingdom, APAC, and Europe. About 4,500 people globally, with another, I think, 40,000 partner resources that we use to deliver our services globally. Solutions and services that we offer collaboration and unified communication. We provide communication solutions that streamline and integrate a vast array of collaboration and unified communication technologies, including AV, telephony, audio conferencing, web conferencing, video conferencing, unified messaging, instant messaging, digital signage, and more. In the data networking space, we deliver data networking solutions that give you the secure, high-speed connectivity that empowers your team to work faster and more efficiently. We deliver business value in your network infrastructure, data center, wireless, structured cabling, fiber optics, smart building, security, and access needs. Secure Blue Security is a proprietary offering that offers a high range of scalable security services built around market-leading security products and platforms that are backed by strong alliances and partnerships with market-leading vendors, staffed by a highly trained and dedicated team of security SMEs, and has a global footprint with highly customizable local support models. Cloud Blue is a proprietary service offering that provides an as-a-service portfolio of cloud solutions, which make it easy to migrate technology and applications to the cloud and offload much of the hardware and power demands that come with maintaining a network. We deliver the benefit of industry-leading technology, outstanding service level agreements, and predictable operation costs through the Cloud Blue offering. Digital transformation services, we leverage data insights, experience design, and technology solutions to reimagine how you connect with your customers. Our people-centered approach leverages digital strategies, tools, and tactics to transform the way you engage with your customers, both internal and external. Physical security and life safety, we recognize the importance of keeping your staff, clients, and property safe. New Era brings a diverse array of state-of-the-art security solutions to ensure the safety of your environment. We take a holistic approach when reviewing potential threats to determine the best solutions for your business. Managed services increase the overall efficiency of your IT department and maintain stable and reliable systems with our managed services offerings. You'll gain access to experienced support technicians and engineers when you need them for a fraction of what it costs for you to expand your team with all of those skills. Professional services, when you choose our professional services, you gain a team of dedicated consultants and integrators to help implement new technologies, business applications, and policies using a proven framework to ensure customer satisfaction. So that's us in a nutshell, with 20,000 customers worldwide, and our ability to deliver both onshore, offshore, and nearshore solutions as appropriate for our client base. Can you go to the next slide, please, Roland? We talked about the fact that we are global in nature. These are the physical locations of our offices around the globe, the 80 offices that we talked about. You can go to the next slide, please. So what is artificial intelligence? That's the topic du jour. It seems like almost every conversation that I'm involved in today, there's some kind of a question, especially about large language models and other aspects of AI. So you can go to the next slide, please. This is just a definition of AI. It's just a set of technologies that enable computers to perform a variety of advanced functions, really a lot of things that humans have done in the past are accomplished by the different forms of AI that exist in the marketplace. But it's important to understand where we are in the evolutionary journey across the AI landscape. So can you go to the next slide, please? There's really three types. There's a couple different ways of looking at AI. There's three types of artificial intelligence. There's narrow intelligence, there's general intelligence, and super intelligence. Narrow intelligence is kind of the machine learning phase. You're talking about one area of specialty that solves one problem that we have as a society or a business or a consumer. You're talking about things like Siri, Alexa, Cortana. General intelligence is machine intelligence, and it refers to a computer that's as smart as humans. And then finally, super intelligence refers to machines that are smarter than humans are capable of today. The reality is we're very much sitting in that first box today. We're spending most of our time working in the narrow intelligence fields. There are no doubt people working on the general intelligence space, but that's just not a reality of where we are today. Can you go to the next slide, please, Roland? This is another method of looking at it more from kind of the way the machines function. So reactive machine doesn't store memories or use past experiences to determine future actions. Limited memory trains from past data to make decisions. Memory is short-lived, but it does use that past data for a specific period of time. Can't really add to the library of experiences. Theory of mind is an advanced class, and it really only exists as a concept today. But this is where machines start to understand that people and things within an environment can alter their feelings and behaviors. It understands people's emotions, sentiments, and thoughts. And then self-awareness only exists hypothetically, where the machine kind of understands their own internal traits. It's really a kind of consciousness. The reality is the reactive machine and limited memory exists today. Theory of mind and self-awareness are aspirational still. When you talk about reactive machine, technologies, you're talking about IBM Deep Blue and the Netflix recommendation engine. And then limited memory examples are Gen AI tools and chatbots and self-driving vehicles and things like that. You can go to the next slide, please, Roland. Well, so what are the uses of artificial intelligence today? The reality is there are a ton of use cases across a multitude of industries, almost every industry. In healthcare, you've got people using AI, machine learning, and things like that for drug discovery. In the finance space, you've got people using it for like risk assessment and fraud detection are large use cases today. Can you go to the next slide, please? Here's some other industries as well. We can skip past this one as well. So this is when you look at all those use cases and all those competing priorities for where your dollars are going to get utilized to return value to the business in the AI realm. This is a chart from Gartner that we really like, and this happens to be for the transportation industry. And if you look at it, there are, I don't know, 11 use cases, it looks like, for the transportation industry that are represented here. And you're really looking at an analysis of each of those use cases from a business value and a feasibility perspective. Obviously, if something has really high business value and it's very feasible, then it's at the top of the pyramid. If it has low feasibility and low value, it's at the bottom. And the high business value, high feasibility use cases are the ones we probably want to go after first, because they'll deliver the most value to the business in the shortest period of time with the least amount of resource expense. Can you go to the next slide, please? Now we'll talk about advantages and challenges of AI. So the advantages of AI, I think everybody probably knows these: the automation of repetitive tasks, reduce human error. There's more room for creativity. If you have machines doing more of the mundane work that's kind of repetitive in nature, then there's more time for us to be creative as business leaders. Increased accuracy, and then enhanced decision making. How can I use those tools to make better decisions? But there are challenges with all these. Can you go to the next slide, please, Roland? So, because the question is really about readiness, especially when you're talking about some of the new things available in the marketplace, like ChatGPT and those kind of hyper kind of talked about, capabilities in the world today. The first fundamental characteristic of readiness is about data quality and accessibility. If your data can't be trusted or you can't access it because it sits in silos in your organization, then your ability to really deliver a lot of value from AI is going to be greatly diminished. And it could even get to the point where the AI has some form of hallucination because it doesn't fully understand the interactor that it's dealing with in real time, and so it may present your brand or your product or whatever in an off-base kind of way with the user at that moment in time. Governance, we want to have effective AI governance so that the organization can do the things it wants to do, but still not put itself in a position of untenable risk. The reality is, if the program is too restrictive, then you're not going to get the innovation out of the platform that you really probably want as a business. And if it's too loose, then you're going to put yourself and your organization at tremendous risk in the marketplace. Resourcing is an issue. At this stage, resources are kind of hard to find. We all probably need to be thinking about a plan for scaling these programs as we have early successes with them. The question becomes how, and the business celebrates those successes and wants to ramp that up going forward. How do we scale those things? Where do we find the resources to do that? How do we boot camp people? All those kind of things. And then finally, modernization. If we already talked about data a little bit, but your technology platforms need to be modern in nature as well. Composable, API first kind of methods in order to really get the business value out of AI, especially when you look at the way the pace of change in consumer demand will change over time. It's only going to accelerate from here going forward. It won't slow down. And once individuals see tremendous benefit from the AI tools in the marketplace, they're just going to want more of them. One thing I will mention is if you went back to that slide from Gartner that showed the use cases and the value of those, if you talk about your readiness will greatly influence the feasibility. It won't necessarily change the business value of the use cases that you're looking at for your industry and maybe your business, but it will change the feasibility of implementing those things. It'll change the timeline, the amount of investment that you have to make, and those kind of things. So although this is for logistics in general, if this was done for an individual logistics company, company A, company B, company C, they're going to look different because of the underpinnings of where that organization is from a readiness perspective. So you can go ahead. And so I think we've covered that effectively. So thanks for listening to my part of the presentation. And Roland, I'm going to hand it off to you, let you introduce yourself and your credentials and get into the topic at hand.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks for a good primer on my topic for the day. First and foremost, I am a global security executive, and so my talk really today is going to be about business operations protection and thinking about how we approach AI and the defense of AI and to be able to drive your capabilities and allow your business to embrace and use AI in a very different way. As David mentioned, I am a former chief security officer with my most recent post as the global chief security officer for ByteDance and TikTok worldwide. Prior to that, I was chief security officer for ADP Corporation worldwide for 10 years and EMC prior to that. My background is actually in military and federal law enforcement and critical infrastructure defense and fraud. So I have kind of a broad range of skills that I bring to the table. And, I've been a large proponent in my career about how security can help not just enable, but drive business forward. And this talk and the association of security with AI is so important because the implications are pretty staggering. I want to start my discussion in the next 30 minutes on key areas that you and your business may be able to focus on with thinking about these two numbers, 1 and 10. And I was listening to his CEO speak on the future of how his business is going to develop. And I thought this was really, really interesting. In the broad sense of that, number one is first of the cost of intelligence in technology is going to be reduced by 1 in 1 million. So you think about the capabilities will have. We always talk about how data is created and the amount of data. We talk about compute power on your phone in comparison to anything else. But we're going to reduce the costs of intelligence to get to where we need to be to use AI in a very fundamental way. It'll reduce our IT cost by that much. What I also think about when I think about the use of AI and the exciting things that our businesses are going to have is, we're going to be able to serve customers better, like 10x faster. So if you think about what we're using simplistic RPTs for, and the use of base ML in the development of call center management and things like that, where it's getting the data and informational assets to be able to support our customers or deliver technology, information, or resources to our customers faster without the introduction of humans into that process. We're going to be able to do that 10 times faster through the use of the most recent generative AI. And the reality is we're going to do it at 1/10 of the cost. So meaning that since technology and computers are going to be doing this, that we're going to reduce our overall infrastructure, people, and operational costs by 1/10. And from a security risk and privacy perspective, that's really going to have a pretty predominant impact on how we think about securing our business and what we have to look at. And remember, as I go through this, I do have a bit of a security slant on it. That's what I do is business protection. And first of all is the emergence of new technology. I mean, we think about cloud 5-10 years ago as we started using it, and we were trying to get our arms wrapped around that, and who's using it and what are they using it for, and they're putting on credit cards to get it faster for good reasons. It was difficult to get all the cats herded into one location. But what was really important to note is that it had a massive advent of new technologies that enabled our business to use a broader digital ecosystem to deliver their services faster and at a lesser cost, and integrate into other digital ecosystems that could provide new things for our business or better, faster things for our business. So AI is going to make that look like it took 100 years to do. We're already seeing the creation of amazing technologies, amazing new services that our businesses want and need to embrace to be competitive in the industries that they're in. And so from a security, risk, and privacy perspective, the issue is going to be, how do we secure that? How do we ensure that we get our arms around it? We're still talking about third and fourth party risk in our organizations. And now we're going to be using technologies and subsets of data infrastructures around the globe by third, fourth, fifth parties that will become a primary part of how we deliver services. So we have to be thinking about how fast and how do we enable that. I think the second component is we have to now defend our infrastructures, which will include AI and many different things with AI as both a preventative and defensive capability, meaning there are certain aspects of our programs as security executives that we shouldn't be doing. But with the advent of AI and the speed at which this will happen and the inclusive of data assets broadly that we still have regulatory considerations around, we have to use AI to understand where information is coming, where it's going to, how did that happen, specific AI attacks, and how do you look at things at speed and line. So these are really, really important concepts that we have to now really focus a portion of our organization on saying, how do we use AI to be a better protection of our business? And the third thing is going to be insider risk. Now, for a few reasons. I mean, insider risk has always been an issue, and we've always had considerable problems with that. But I think if you start to look at the horizon and the future horizon of the changing of our business and the changing of jobs and the fact that whole career families will go away and whole aspects of your business will now not be driven in, perhaps call centers, but by people, you're going to have people look at tech a little bit differently and potentially drive problematic issues during the adoption phase. Additionally, because it is new technology and it's coming faster than the industry has the capability to defend or provide advanced technology capabilities in a defensive management point of view, there are going to be known unknowns, and those are going to be ripe for abuse, and we're going to have to figure out how that could happen internally to our organizations to defend the resiliency of our organization, ensure that we can still deliver technology and services at speed. So these are three really big implications that are different than the attacks are going to be different. We don't have the right people to do it. We'll get to all of that, but as we start to think about the speed of new technology into our digital ecosystem, the fact that AI has to be a cornerstone of how we protect our business, reduce people costs, and increase efficacy and efficiencies, and again, that insider threat. So I want to talk a little about our business technology and value chain, because there's a real clear concept in security. If you don't understand what you're protecting, how can you protect it? And if you can't see what you're protecting, how can you protect it? And so the change in our value business chains, if you think about it, is going to be important. Where we have been focusing on SaaS initiatives, is that going to be increase, or is that change going to migrate from SaaS to core compute AI capabilities that we're subscribing to? And how does that change how in our value chain we actually connect into these different offerings or capabilities that is our products? And that can be anything from customer service to product development to support to FP&A. I mean, it can be almost anything. The fact is, we're going to have to figure out where it fits and how we look at that as our total business that we're protecting. The next generation supply chain is going to be mind-blowing and very difficult to understand. It's kind of like this discussion for SaaS. Where am I getting my services that make up my business? When you look across your value chain and, where does my development happen, and where does my sales management happen, and where does my marketing happen, and and on, and you get down into the subsystems and where those happen. Those often happen in third parties or outside your digital infrastructure and in other people's. And how is this going to change? And if we're thinking about our company as a digital ecosystem, how do we protect that? So key concepts to remember as we go further and deeper into AI as a cornerstone of our business. And the last one, I think, is really, really important from a security and certainly a privacy capability. But the explosion of APIs and microservices are going to be as dynamic as we ever seen them. This is how our businesses will talk to each other. And sit back and ask yourself, do I have a catalog of all my APIs? Do I know the authentication schema? Do I know what technologies can talk through my APIs? Where they end up? Who can subscribe to them? How we're monitoring those? Just let that sink in for a minute, and that's in our existing infrastructure. Now think of as hyper-extended digital business climate, and APIs are everything. So this is one of those things we're going to have to really wrap our mind around, including the microservices that support those and the microservice meshes that manage it, which will essentially become our new shadow IT because it operates fairly independently than your general infrastructure. All right, I do want to hit AI impact from an IDC perspective, right? Because this is a short-term view that IDC said we should all be thinking about. And it's interesting. I think their point is well taken that there's going to be a core business focus. How am I moving the business forward and competing in the industry? That is what it will be used for. Call it over the next 12 to 24 months, and we're going to focus on core technologies, things that today we may have RPAs in place. We may have some type of secondary infrastructure supporting it in third parties. How do I move that to an AI subscription service that gives me better, faster capabilities at a very competitive cost? The focus should be on the business impact, is what IDC is saying. So what is my total impact that I'm delivering to market, and what's the total impact to my organization, and how do I measure that to know if AI is right for my organization? And then Dave already really talked to this, but there's a lot of short-term use cases. In my space, predominantly threat detection, over-the-horizon threat analysis in alignment with the industries you're in is where AI is being used. It's being used to look at multiple security threat areas and bring that into a visualization for people to understand the impacts it's having to their business. And then, of course, things around financial crimes defense, fraud defense, anti-money laundering defense. Some of the work that's being done in the industry there has been amazing. But in each one of our industries, we can all find these short-term use cases that we can embrace and use very quickly. Now, I want to jump into this, this discussion around trust and oversight. And I think from a security point of view, as I talk to my peers around the world, there's really two things two core areas that we have to focus. And one is just obviously the data. AI is using informational assets to create new capabilities, new services, new output, new intelligence. It is about the information that it's using. So when we think, and we're going to jump into this, about data defense and access assurance, takes on a whole nother level. I mean, in the last year alone, we've seen 31 new data privacy laws around the globe and within the United States as well, that is challenging our business, how to operate across jurisdictional lines, how to provide and prove the appropriate use and management of the data assets within our trust. So this will only become more important as we're taking that information, using it for other purposes, and smashing it together with other informational assets not originally intended. And the other thing that is going to really, from a trust and oversight, push us forward are key trust frameworks. Like you're seeing the development of trust frameworks out of Europe and out of NIST, or National Institute of Standards and Technologies here in the United States, that says, here is a scorecard on AI, and you can know it's trustworthy if an organization is doing these things. So I think the more we focus on the data and ensuring that we know what's there, how it's protected, and how it's managed, and we're aligning to key frameworks, we'll be in really, really good place. Now, there's a lot I can cover in this, but honestly, I want to stick with a really 5 key cybersecurity considerations for us to focus on in our businesses that I think have real near-term impact to supporting a foundational capability for our businesses to move forward using AI. And they're really around, some of them are going to sound simplistic until I get in them, but education and guardrails. Organizations have to understand what AI is, how to use it, what they can and can't do, and we'll jump into some of that. To my earlier point, you can't protect what you can't see, and you can't protect what you don't understand. Transparency and resilience become a key play here in being able to protect AI within your environment. There's some basic AI infrastructure defense. What is AI infrastructure? What's the difference between that and pipeline? And what do we do as security professionals to help make sure that our businesses can run fast using these type of technologies? And then, of course, we'll dig into data defense. And I couldn't leave the conversation without talking about workforce. I mean, Dave really already talked about this a little bit, but it's going to change what our people and our organizations look like. And we have to prepare for that because, we can barely change a model in 1 or 2 years when we know it's coming and it's already before us. Now we're not sure what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years, but it's technology already in our environment, and we have to make decisive changes to be able to move that ship quickly. Okay, so education and guardrails. I think the ease of doing this is probably a lot more simplistic than a lot of us think. But I look at like the General Mills model. They did a wonderful job in being able to educate the entirety of the organization and just get a level set so people understood it and what their responsibilities are. And I think if you can do that across your organization and create positive, focused, well educating is really important. Things like they put things in buckets. If you can do this with AI, have fun. Be safe and know this is what you can do. This you can absolutely never do. In this, we have a process to help you. If you want to do that, we have to do it securely. And here's how we're going to do that. And there's a help desk to help you. And that's really my second point is as organizations, it took us a while in cloud to be able to get help desks and on-ramps available for our people to get them to be able to use cloud in the way that we needed them to. I think we learned a lot during those days, and being able to create these on-ramps for success for our employees are super important. And so help desk processes to get people very specific information and capability and training when they want and need to use AI helps across the organization. And then infrastructure as a service. Our CIO partners have been doing this for years, and and that cloud gave them that ability to really think about how to integrate into these services. And I don't think AI will be that much different, but the point is, how do we use our existing partners like Microsoft or Google? How do we use our existing infrastructures in cloud ramping to add sectors for AI ramping that allows our people to go through a very specific mechanism that's a trusted source, secure, and we understand it from a finance perspective. So those are the three things around education and guardrails that I think are super important. But my favorite area is really around transparency and resiliency, because you have to have the capability to understand where AI is in our businesses, and that's a broad term because it could be in across a heterogeneous cloud environment in multiple clouds. It could be in R&D and CTO's organizations. It could be in our marketing and sales area. Like understanding how and why and what type of AI we use and what type of tools, technologies we use within our pipeline is super important. Understanding our pipeline too. So the end-to-end, if we think about security as a part of an overall pipeline delivery, same thing around our SDLC or our by design security by design or privacy by design processes. We have to think about what's our AI by design processes and how do we help micro segment those environments to make sure we understand the infrastructures they use and the technologies we use and that sort of thing. And once we have that and we've micro segmented that and we've built this capability, we have to do some of the basic things like business impact analysis. Where are we using this? How bad is it for our business? Do we have continuity in place? If it blew up, how do we recover from that? So as we're building it, make sure from a resiliency point of view that we're doing the same things we've already done for our company around BCP, DR, and even crisis management. If something happened with that infrastructure or something went where it shouldn't have, how do we deal with that? How do we change our playbooks? And how do we educate our executives to manage through these type of issues? Now, AI infrastructure defense is really for our security practitioners and our IT practitioners to start getting a little deeper into how do I defend AI? And the reality is a lot of it is all the basics. Think about it. AI is technology. It's infrastructure compute. It's advanced algorithms. It's the use of data in a very different way, but predominantly it operates on infrastructure with technology capabilities, with things like ensuring that your services are defended, your access to the information, your access to algorithms, the platforms server platforms that operate them. All of those sort of things are kind of standard. Patching management. So once you've pulled your AI infrastructure, understanding what it is, let's make sure we treat it like everything else, and it's not something special and we never touch it. Let's make sure we're doing all the basics to have a clean and hygienic environment, especially one that is going to need to be working at speed. I think the second area is once you have that and you have the monitoring, like we call it prevent, defend, monitor, and respond in the security area. Once you've had that for your infrastructure, all the basics, you know where it is, you've microsegmented it with your environment, focus on things like insertion defense. We know a problematic area that's available today in threat management is the ability to do insertion into data streams and other parts of the AI pipeline that do bad things to the model. So, and there are technologies out there today to help you look and defend against that. Now, over the years, there'll be new things that we can instrument within our AI pipelines to monitor for malicious things, but these things are available today, so we can put those in place. And the same for threat management. So as we think about threats specific to AI model manipulation, access to model management infrastructure, there are technologies available for us. And so to put at least those protections in place that are available today, super important. I also, if it is a critical part of your business, you should have a critical asset protection plan, a CAP plan. And this is really about how we monitor. What are the critical components? How do we know if someone is targeting it? So we wrap a little bit of special love around it. So your critical incident response center, or your SOC, or your managed security service, whoever doing this work for you, has a clear view that that's my AI infrastructure, and we're monitoring it and responding to it in a very special way. And this takes you to the next set of basics, right? Which is, if something happens to that infrastructure, do I have the right tools to investigate it forensically? Who do I engage? Have these questions answered by the teams that are doing it today. It gives them the ability to really dive into AI, understand it, and make sure that they are available to handle an incident while you're using that technology. Okay, diving into data defense and access assurance. I think it is extremely important for us to realize the issues around data defense. This is probably going to, again, sound simplistic, but put it with your executive hat on and understand, can I do this today? So think about all of the data assets that are going to go in play to be able to use, whether you're using LLMs, you're doing ML modeling off of internal data sets, you're integrating with third parties. The question has to be is, where's the data I'm using, right? Where did it come from? And what are my responsibilities to it based on my legal and regulatory obligations? Who has access to it? And finally, where did it go, right? It came in, we're accountable for managing it. How do I know where it is? What's the context of the data that's there? Is it protected data, PCI, PHI? Is it legally contractual data that I have to do certain things around? Is it intellectual property? It may not be social security numbers and date of births or national ID numbers, but it's really, really important to my business. So contextually, where is my data? Then the question around the data lineage. We're going to have to be able to focus on assets and capabilities, where it went and what used it. So getting infrastructure in place that just doesn't scan my data once a year or once a month, because it takes a month to go through, but is consistently looking at my informational assets, understanding who has access to it, what my legal responsibilities are, and being able to understand how my technology is using it. It's going to be complex, but if you haven't done that yet, and many organizations haven't, that is one of the key things I'm talking to my peers about in 2024. Enable your business by enabling a very broad data defense and access assurance. I've been in this business a while, and one of the things that key regulators, especially in Europe and Asia, are asking is who has access to it, right? If I have, let's say, UK jurisdictional data on consumers, it is expected that I can say, here's who had access to it from my company or outside my company, and what countries they came from, and where that data flowed outside the organization. And it doesn't mean you have to be in a regulated space. It just means you have regulated data that now you're accountable for. So, key things to be thinking about. Now, workforce enablement there are going to be some changes. So really, what are those changes? Well, AI. Last year, many people couldn't spell it, and this year, it's critically important to everyone. But the reality is that AI is a different discipline. In security, risk, and privacy, there are few people who are, data platform and data science experts in the defense of it. Unless you worked at MITRE or one of the large technology companies, AI hasn't been a well-rounded specialty within security. So that's going to change. I think as business operations protection executives in all three disciplines or in privacy, we have to be thinking about is everything's code and everything will be code. So how does that change? It is imperative, I think, that we look to develop our organizations in a way that is codified and that our people understand it and that they're coming into our organizations with a base level of capability to understand that. And of course, data. Everything's going to be data. 1/3 of my job in the future will absolutely have everything to do with data defense. And so how am I creating an appropriate organization to manage data assets and the protection thereof around the globe, for everything from finding it, fixing it, encrypting it, lifecycle management of it at a security perspective, critically important. And what do we do about it? I think one of the things that I've been focusing on is around job family adjustments, right? I don't have firewall engineer 101s anymore, right? Like that's long in the past. We're down the path of cloud security engineering organizations, code security, SecDevOps. Time to start looking at AI ops, and it's time to start developing job descriptions and programs specific to data defense as well. So we should be adjusting our jobs families, working with our HR and HCM partners to be able to do that, and start to migrate our own people through internal and external training. Making sure that they have access to the things they need for what we're doing today and next year, but also what their jobs are going to become and let them really change their careers. But it also has to mean we have to look at the universities we're aligned to, the pipeline we have, how we recruit people, and start to think a little bit differently. Do you have to be a security expert, or can I take someone from another job career and make them a security expert in their specific field? So all really, really important things. I mean, the reality is that this is going to take leadership, and there's a lot of change. So as I like to say all the time is be the leader of change for your organization. So that's it. That covers our time here. I'm going to hand it back over to Dave, but thank you for your time, and hope to see you out there protecting AI in your businesses.
Thanks, Roland. Appreciate it. Can you go to the next slide, please? If you are, I noticed there were some people that did get in. If you did have questions, you're welcome to put them into the QA chat. If you don't do that today or can't do that today, we're going to send out an email with a link to this quiz that I'll talk about in a second. And we'll also gladly welcome your questions at that time. There were a few questions that I got beforehand. Since we have a little time, I think I might pull them up here real quick, Roland, and maybe we can take a look at these. Let's see. So the first one was, how does the quality of data input affect the accuracy and reliability of AI outputs, and what measures can be taken to ensure high quality data? I'll take a little bit of a shot at that, and then I'll hand it over to you. So the reality is data quality. And data quality is not a static thing, right? It changes over time as data input sources and time passes. Data quality moves up and down the scale organizationally. But the reality is, if your data quality is low, the likelihood that your AI solution will hallucinate is which is a Gartner term, is more likely than if your data quality level is high. And when AI platforms, solutions hallucinate, They do damage to your reputation with your customers, and they do damage to your brand. And there's a lot of kind of negative things that can happen. As far as what measures you can take to ensure high quality data, most people are probably familiar with this point. Things like data governance and data stewardship and metadata management, master data management, and all those kind of things that kind of affect data quality levels. And so if you look at yourself from a maturity perspective across those domains, making sure that your maturity level is at the right level for what the goals are that you have as an organization from an AI solution delivery perspective for both your internal and external clients, I think is a very important endeavor to undertake. And to figure out where you are versus where you need to be is not a really taxing exercise. There are models, and we have one at New Era that allows you to do that relatively easily. And then the thing I'll say about the other side of that is from a data platform perspective. If you think about the modern data platform and you think about the concept of a bronze, a silver, and a gold layer to your data environments, with bronze being raw data landed in its initial form, and silver data being kind of curated data to a certain level that's appropriate for the silver layer, and then finally your pristine kind of data that you use for your financial reporting and things like that in the traditional kind of data environments that we've had in the past. The reality is understanding and governing which use cases for AI use which of those data sets is critically important as well. All of those things are things that are well documented in the data management kind of body of knowledge today. So I'll stop there. Roland, anything you want to add?
Well, I'll say from a security perspective, it's like anything, garbage in, garbage out. I think the understanding of what data assets we're using for the specific job and function is critical, and the manipulation or insertion of assets not needed for that very specific business function can be extremely problematic and cause output issues that go beyond just hallucination. And so yeah, super important and key area in being able to use it in a meaningful and accurate way.
Okay. The next one was, how do you foresee AI transforming traditional IT roles, especially in the realms of data governance and cybersecurity? I'll take a real quick shot at one example of how I think that transformation will occur, because the impacts will be far-reaching and will change that landscape in ways that I don't even know we can necessarily predict today. But if you just look at simple things like the testing automation tool Mabel, MABL, if you're not familiar with it, and how it uses AI to do automation testing and self-healing scripts and those kind of things. Those are things that corporate IT functions do today, and so do consulting organizations like New Era. We have that capability in house, right? The reality is, I think you're going to see not just in testing necessarily, but also in places like data quality management and things like that. You're going to see AI tools that kind of automate a lot of stuff that was done by human beings using software platforms that weren't AI driven in the past. Roland, you want to add anything contextually to that?
No, I think I covered it in the deck predominantly. Listen, it's a whole new job area. It's a whole new skill set. It's going to truly up level the level of technology integration deep into AI that security hasn't been in before, and so both from a data protection and data asset management all the way through to actual AI pipeline defense, it's going to take a really new approach, and it's going to take a few years for us to get there, I think.
Yeah. This one's for you, Roland. How can we protect AI systems from emerging cybersecurity threats, and what role does AI play in enhancing cybersecurity measures?
I think I'm going to start with the second part of that question: is how does AI help? AI is going to help in a lot of ways. The speed at which bad things are going to happen, the being able to identify inauthentic identities, AI infrastructure, bot infrastructures targeting generic infrastructures. I mean, what we've tried to do in financial platform defense using automation in the last few years, that's kind of like triple, and we can't do that without AI at the speed, of AI, defending against AI attacks. So it is going to be the cornerstone and foundational element of many security programs, and we have to move funds. I mean, we can't have a people-intensive capability around monitoring and response. We have to be able to do it at the speed of the machines that we're defending, and we're gonna have to migrate from people intensive to technology intensive. So I think those are kind of important aspects of it. The attacks we're already seeing around infrastructures where they're going into automated playbooks that are created by generative AI capabilities on known threats because they understand what infrastructure you have. They're using public information about vulnerabilities your organization may have, and they're collecting data assets associated with creating attacks specific for the problems you have and the technology you have, and then attacking at machine speed. That's what we're going to see. We're seeing that today already, and we'll have to be prepared for that, being able to detect those early and defend our infrastructure through the automatic implementation of controls. So it's going to be an exciting few years in redeveloping our approach to security.
Yeah, and then this will be the last one. Can you discuss how current legal frameworks around data privacy impact AI development, particularly with regulations like GDPR and CCPA? I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, I'm probably not the expert for this, to be honest with you. From a defense and implementation of controls around data, I would love to get a few CPOs' perspective on this. Here's the reality. The laws today are implemented with a focus on the capabilities organizations had in the past 5 or 10 years. Applying those to the concept of contextual multi-use of data assets at speed is going to be interesting, right? So now I'm applying a different model of interpretation of components of data that's maybe attributed, from a consumer, citizen, or something of that nature. And does that fall within the same realm? I think the other problematic issue is around basic new requirements that came out around, right to be forgotten and basic consumer requirements that are just being implemented. And so if portion of their information is used to inform a data set or an algorithm, and they now have the right to be forgotten, how does that apply to the historical concepts the AI has already turned over within that model and that data set? So it can be mind-blowing. It's going to have to change generally. The laws will have to change to adjust for AI. But I also think the implementation of things we've only been talking about for a few years, like data legacy, data lineage, and requirements validity at time of use of informational assets, like those are going to have to be double down in the industry on protecting those things and creating new technologies for that. And again, it's going to take a few years for those things to combine with the speed that AI is being delivered today.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Roland, for your time today and your participation. It's been very enlightening. We're going to send out a follow-up email. There's a quiz that you can do to kind of assess your readiness. If you use this QR code, you can get to it today. We'll send it out in an email as well as a part of our follow-up. And I encourage anybody that has any questions, anybody that views this video after the fact and has any questions, please, put them forward in either through the response to that email that we send out, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to help you find the answer for the question that you have. Again, thanks everybody for participating. This is a huge topic. It's going to just continue to evolve and change over time, and new problems and new opportunities are going to arise, and we're kind of all in this progression together, and it's really exciting to see where it goes. At the end of the day, everything that we do today, I think, as organizations, and everything that certainly New Era does as a consulting organization, is impacted by AI in an appreciable fashion going forward. So thank you for participating. Have a great day.